Hello out there in the YouTuberverse, it is Max, and I am back with you with the good old MTG Arena action. Today, though, is not limited, which is my usual. Today, we in fact have Standard Magic the Gathering, if you can believe it. I have this mono white deck that I've been playing with. They brought Arena to mobile, if you're not familiar, and I have wanted to try it out, but I didn't trust it enough to do limited because it's more nuanced and I didn't want to just dive right into limited. So I've been playing with this on mobile when I have a few minutes and I just want to jam a game. I've been playing this standard deck, so I figured I would tell you all about it, play some games. I'm sure you've seen it if you've been playing Arena. We have 4 Giant Killer, 3 Selfless Savior, 4 Usher of the Fallen, 4 Venerable Knight, 4 Stone Coil Serpent. We have 4 Clarion Spirit, 4 Luminarch Aspirant, 4 Seasoned Hollowblade, 4 Maul the Skyclaves. My brew is set up for board, but I don't play the best of 3 too often just because I'm jamming games on mobile. 3 Skyclave, 1 Glorious Anthem, and 4 Maul of the Skyclaves. For land, we do the Snow-Covered Plain, so we can play Faceless Haven, which becomes a 4/3 Vigilant creature. With all creature types, it is still a land. So that's what we have going on. So we're just going to jam some games with this and see how we do. So we're going to give it a try. I'm just going to do some standard best of 1 stuff. Nothing too crazy, just to see and give you all an idea of how the deck operates, what I've seen from playing it, that kind of thing. So hopefully you dig it. Let us know in the comments what you want to see, because we're always happy to do what you want to do. We'd rather do something people are going to enjoy than just do something that we would enjoy exclusively. So if we're going to do it and you're not going to watch it, it's kind of pointless. So thanks for watching. Opponent goes first. This hand is capable. It's not a great hand, but it's a pretty good hand. We're going to play Stone Coil on 1, and we're going to play Aspirant on 2. Opponent going first kind of stinks big time for this deck, but that's what we're going to do. If we draw a 1-drop, Usher of the Fallen or the Knight, I will scry immediately to top. Selfless Savior, I think it's worth playing over the Serpent. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both. The Serpent gets trample, and so the counters become much more valuable. The Savior, however, can keep the Aspirant alive through a removal spell, which is pretty good. Now, what becomes tricky with this line of play is where do you put the counter for this Luminarch trigger? Obviously, you always want to play this main phase 1, which is a little counterintuitive. If you're used to playing good Magic, you know what I mean? Or at least tighter Magic, I should say. Not necessarily good Magic, because God knows I don't play good Magic. But tighter Magic, you generally want to play your creatures post-combat to give your opponent the least amount of information going into your combat step. We're going to save the Aspirant. It's one of the best cards in our deck. This leads me to believe they have a second removal spell. So they save themselves 1 to 2 points of damage. What this also does is it means the next Heartless Act is not a clean removal spell for our Aspirant, which is nice. They need something better than that, which likely they have, I feel like, based on that line of play. But maybe not. Maybe they just felt like they needed to run out the removal spell with the okay, so this is white life gain, most likely. So what I think we're going to do here, given this play, is it feels like this could be a pretty good... There's 2 real paths to victory here. We could, or I guess not necessarily victory. Well, I guess ultimately victory, right? We could play Clarion Spirit on 2 and then play a Stone Coil on 1 or a Giant Killer. I think Giant Killer is going to be decent enough in this game. I don't necessarily just want to run that out. So I think the best play here is going to be Skyclave and then attack. Because otherwise this 2/4 blanks are a combat step. And we really want to start killing them before they get a lot of stuff on the board and start to synergize. I'm just going to put the counter on the Aspirant. It is a high value target for them to kill. So devoting too many counters on it, I feel like can be problematic. But I feel like in this current set, they already blanked us for a combat step. We really kind of... And this helps with the Aspirant again. Now what we get to do is we get to... All right, they put it on the bottom. That's nice. We get to cast Maul of the Skyclaves, put it on the Apparition, and then we get to make this a 4/4, and we get to swing for 8. I think that's the best play for us here. I do think it's better than the Clarion plus Giant Killer or Stone Coil by a decent margin because it puts the most pressure on the opponent. And again, our goal here is to get this game done. That's it, plain and simple. Easy, put it on the Aspirant here. And they really kind of do want this Valkyrie out for life game purposes, if you're not familiar with what this does. Whenever another cleric or angel enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to its toughness. So multiple of these Valkyries can be pretty problematic for us. Baneslayer Angel can be pretty problematic for us. However, nice thing is we kept our Giant Killer around. So we're going to make this a nice easy turn. We're going to destroy target creatures. Let me make sure. Reread Baneslayer just because. Okay. Go ahead and destroy Baneslayer. Put one on the Skyclave. Again, that's just a hedge in case they draw a Heartless Act. It doesn't just instantly kill the Skyclave. So I'm just kind of diversifying my bonds a little bit. I think both creatures are high value kill targets for them. Skyclave does not deal with Baneslayer, unfortunately. Okay. Gain some life. Likely no attack here. Okay, and they foretell. Fantastic. That's not a big deal for us. 2, 3. Okay, so that's kind of a nothing for us. I think the play here is going to be Skyclaving. I don't think we want to do the Clarion Plus, though we could. They have double blocks on the Aspirant unless we put a counter on the Aspirant, so maybe it's worth doing. So we do this, play the Spirit, and that leaves Skyclave. So I think that's doable for us. That's going to make the board bigger. Going to let us push through damage when we shouldn't. We're going to put the counter on the Aspirant now. We're going to jam because that means there's no good double blocks for them. This is lethal. They do have to block at least one of our creatures. Okay. This gives us a lot. Baneslayer, obviously one of the worst things for us. But so Baneslayer comes down, they block. I don't think that matters too much. They trade with the Skyclave Apparition that way. And then they lose the Luminarch. And then 2, 3, 4 damage is lethal. But they gain off the Valkyrie, so they go up to 5. Starnheim Unleashed is good. Okay. So we can Skyclave away this and then attack with our big creatures. We can conversely kill an angel and attack. I think just Skyclaving away the 2/4 at this point is probably worth it. Maybe damage done already. But it prevents, if their last card is a creature, a big creature, it prevents any kind of shenanigans. Now I'm just thinking of where we want to where we want to put our counter here. I think we want to put it on the Spirit. And I think we want to attack Spirit. That was weird. I must have just clicked on that by accident. So yeah, I think we want to swing this way. They do get to double block if they want it. And they do. No surprise that they want to double block pretty badly. But we have a lot of creatures out. I think kind of damage done with the Aspirant. The same way the Valkyrie did its damage. I think it's all just kind of damage done. Yeah, and we have another Giant Killer for that. So that should be game. They block and die. Yep. Okay, cool. So that's kind of what the deck's trying to do. Is it's trying to just be as pressuring as possible. It's a white aggressive deck, right? It's not rocket science. But that is kind of a good demonstration of what the deck's attempting to do. So we'll just keep jamming some games. If you're not familiar, thanks for hanging out with us again. Appreciate it. We are here every Thursday with some kind of a video. We do comedy stuff. We do a lot of arena stuff. We do games. We do film stuff. So again, helping us out in the comments, letting us know what you want to see. Always appreciated. Whether it's Magic stuff, related game stuff, We're doing the new nostalgic 90s content, which is pretty fun. This is very similar to the last hand. It's maybe exactly the same as the last hand. So nostalgic 90s stuff, if you're a 90s child like we are, you may enjoy that kind of thing we have coming your way. So let us know in the comments if there's anything or everything you want to see. Again, because we'd rather make content and have people watch it, because we enjoy all the things we're not going to offer you something we don't like. We're not going to put out a pottery video. Well, Paul might put out a pottery video. I'm not putting out a pottery video is what I'm saying. This is a ramp style deck, so our plan is not dissimilar from our plan every game, is to pressure the opponent as best we can. Yeah, there's basically a 0% chance that Lotus Cobra blocks. They did give it a longer think than I expected, but we want to try to beat the opponent before they can get down big threats, is all we're trying to do. So pressure's good here. Looks like they have a red mana floating, Bone Crusher Giant on the Aspirin. Of course we're going to save it. It's one of the best cards in the deck, if not the best card in the deck. Also negates an attack from the opponent. So I do think we play this. The question is the Giant Killer. Do we keep it in our hand? I think yes. I think we play a Stone Coil on 1 here. This turn, we're going to get the Aspirant big enough to put an attack in. But this also lets us beef the Stone Coil Serpent up to where it can attack. And the Stone Coil has Trample, so it's a terrible block for our opponent. So if opponent's untapped land, that's kind of the worst thing that could happen. Actually, the worst thing is Fabled Passage. It's kind of the worst thing that could happen to us. So you can see why we want the Giant Killer here. And this is just a no-brainer. Later Terror of the Peaks. These are easy jam onto Stone Coil Serpent. We attack for 6 here. We don't give him a chance to block. Now, there's argument for let the Lotus Cobra trade with the Aspirin, but at this point, we already know they can cast a 4/3. So we want to be able to get one of our creatures up to 5/5 here. And they're already tanking if they want to block this Aspirant and protect their life total. So it's good news for us. We're definitely going to jam the Giant Killer here, post-combat, and then we'll see what we draw. Obviously, the worst draw for us is a basic land, but it is what it is. We do have the Giant Killer now, which can tap, so it makes lands a little less worse. Like, for example, we can play our planes, play Maul of the Skyclave, and tap a blocker, which is quite nice. So they're going to have enough to Bone Crusher Giant, but that's not that big of a deal. Okay, yeah, it's just going to be Bone Crusher. Is there a removal spell to go with it? No. Yeah, we predicted land, and that's something you kind of have to learn to live with, is to predict your... You're going to have to, oftentimes you're going to get the worst possible draw. So you need to kind of set up for what you can do with the worst possible draw. Giant Killer's going to tap this Bone Crusher Giant. We want to Stone Coil. Stone Coil, there's trample value here to be had. So right now they kind of are obliged to block our 3/3 Aspirin on the ground. So that's kind of what they have to do in order to stave off death. And even then, I don't know. I mean, there's a standard. Haymakers happen. You know what I mean? My perspective is much more a limited perspective. Things happen, right? There's ultimatums and things. It's kind of cool. Great Henge and Ugin. Ugin definitely can wipe a board here. I think Ugin for 3 doesn't quite do it because of Stone Coil Serpent. The Great Henge helps. Okay, Maul. Oh, yeah, it's game, actually. Even with the Great Henge. I don't know if there's a 1 blue answer to this. Or a 2 and a blue answer to this. There's Depart the Realm or some kind of tempo play. There could be a naturalize effect possibly on the main. It could be opponents angry and disconnected. I don't know. But I don't see it being a great answer. But this is going to be 2/2 +2/+2 flying, first strike, all that jazz, plus trample on the Stone Coil natively. So that will be game after opponent's done having their little mini fit or whatever it is they're doing. Yeah, you don't. and they scoop them up. So that's, again, pressuring as much and as often as we can is the aim of the game. And you can see, I mean, these are like no-brainers with the Luminarch Aspirant. The card is ridiculous. It's free. It's a free counter every single turn of the game. Insane. Insane Magic card. It's so good. It's so cheap. And that's the reason this deck puts such a premium on 1-drops. Is, goodness gracious, it's so powerful. This is opponent's on the play. We have a 1-drop into a 2-drop into a 3-drop removal spell. 2 different flavors of removal spell. I think it's good enough. I don't think we can mulligan hands that curve out like this, even without the aspirant. You don't just mulligan to the aspirant. That's not the point of the deck. Our opponent's mulliganing to Oblivion over there and scooping. Likely, I don't want to over speculate because I don't know, but there is a Tibalt combo deck where you use the Tibalt counterspell and the 0 cost remove the Tormod's Crypt. Use Tormod's Crypt and the Tibalt counterspell, and then you try to just get you. I hate that deck because it's just like, I'm gonna flip a coin, which will allow me to roll a d6, which will then allow me to roll. Like, it's like, it's so random that it's like, okay, there's no real skill involved. You play 2 lands, play this card for 0, pay 2 mana, counter it. Like, it just, there's nothing going on here. Jengantha. I always say it wrong. I always think of the game Jenga. They're not sponsoring the stream, but that's what I always think of, Jengantha. But it's Jengantha. But the J throws me off, and I just associate my head with Jenga. What are we playing against here? Haven't seen anything quite like this yet. But yeah, this hand is quite good. If we draw a land next turn, it is worth considering Clarion into Giant Killer. This feels like a one we'll want to keep Clapdown around for. Chomp down. We'll see. Right now, removal spell is their friend. Okay, it's an adventure deck. There's so many different... The adventure decks have broken up into so many different little things. I've seen them largely without a companion. And there's a Clarion Spirit to go with it. Very strange configuration of cards here. So we're going to hook the Maul onto the Aspirant. Then we're going to put the counter on the Usher. And we're going to attack for 7 damage. Again, pressure turned up as high as we can. We want the intensity on the opponent. We just want to keep pressuring them as best we can. We'll see what they can cobble together here. Okay, tap land is a good thing. Edgewell Innkeeper's fine. No one single red creature that can come off an adventure. There's no like Love Struck. They could one in a red or they could one in a Sentinel. For something, there's the Love Struck Beast. Okay, that's what I was thinking. They're gonna attack, which is kind of fine. Okay, this is a pretty easy Clarion Spirit into Selfless Savior. I'm just thinking about my counter. I think my counter goes on the Aspirant itself. It guarantees damage. I'm also just debating on if I want to save the Spirit and boast, but I don't think that's correct. I do think it's double block time for them. And all we're trying to do is just go as wide as we can right now. And that's the reason we're going for 2 spells that trigger a 3rd creature token. They can cast the Lovestruck Beast, but that's their entire turn devoted to casting the Lovestruck Beast, which is fine with me. I can still swing in with just about everything on my side of the board and not really lose anything. So if they've untapped land here, that's quite good. They get to refill their hand quite a bit off the Edgewell Innkeepers. Because the Innkeeper is whenever you cast a creature spell that has adventure. Okay, they don't have the land, but they get everything else. So we'll give them their board state here. I don't think they can afford an attack here into a 2/2. Maybe they're willing to trade. Okay, of course they drew their land. They're probably like, yeah, of course, got the land now. But it looks like they're instantly using it, which means that they may have a follow-up play here. Maybe another Lovestruck Beast. No. Could be the bounce a permanent. Okay, our turn. I think this is a pretty easy counter on the Spirit. Attack with the Aspirant and the Spirit token. I don't think the Usher wants to come in here into the face of the Lovestruck Beast. I don't think we want to chomp down on the Lovestruck Beast. I don't really think that behooves us too much. There is some advantage there in terms of pressure. We could chomp down on it, then put a counter on the Clarion Spirit, and then attack with everything, and it still leaves us the selfless savior around. I do think going for the cleaner play is a better one. So let's go ahead and go to combat. Put the counter on the Spirit. And for 6. Okay. Okie dokie. Then I think we just go ahead and play Seasoned Hollowblade plus Usher of the Fallen, again triggering Clarion Spirit. And that gives us the Selfless Savior as a protection spell. And the opponent is still relatively pinched on mana. Currently 6 mana available to them. So we'll see what they can cobble together in terms of using their mana efficiently. Next turn feels like it's a pretty easy chomp down into Flunge. Exile the top 4 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards. So if they still need cards after all that, Toski's interesting. They can't chomp down. They could play the Fabled Passage, is that right? Or did they led with land, if I'm not... I might be mistaken on the land. Yeah, just a Lovestruck Beast. Yeah, it's cool. You get a flying block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the fight's in the air here. What? I'm not sure exactly what that's about. I mean, maybe I should have given that a little bit more consideration, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't see what that's exactly. I mean, they could be preventing the Flunge because their crackback's pretty good. What is the second? Got it. They have 1 mana to work with here. They're, I guess, debating on the Giant Killer play. And they elect not to do so. Okay. All right. So we got a lot of thinking to do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ground creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ground creatures. So they have us covered on ground creatures. So there's no real point in doing that. So I think the play is going to be the same one we made last turn. Put a counter on this Clarion Spirit token. The question is merely, do we attack with Seasoned Hollowblade? I think the answer is no. Because all that's going to do is clear a 1/1 human token and lose us a card from our hand. I mean, I guess we could have attacked maybe with Hollowblade and Usher and then used the Usher's ability. Okay. I think we just go ahead and chomp this. There's no eligible attack there. We don't have to worry about it. I don't see it. I mean, this is kind of cool. I'm interested to see how this goes. I haven't gotten to see Strike Down or Showdown of the Scalds yet in action. So, see what they can, how much they can cast here. Them casting spells definitely at a premium. I just don't see how they get past. None of their creatures trample. Okay. Like, they'll definitely make a Clarion Spirit token. But if we draw a land, we just re-equip them all and they're dead. So, I mean, that makes landing out for us. Okay, that resolves. I'm curious to see what they do here. So they have the Sentinel has reach. It is worth noting. So they can block something that way, but they can't block 3. They have 2 blockers for 3 attackers at the moment. So they're trying to whittle down. So they're making a spirit big enough to trade. The Sentinel, they're making it so it can eat a spirit. Right now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we draw a spell, we drew land. So it makes it more interesting, right? Because we can just equip Maul the Skyclaves, attack them with everything. The spirit, the 2/2 spirit likely blocks whatever has Maul the Skyclaves on it. And then the 2/2 spirit gets eaten by the Sentinel and they take 2. And that puts the onus on them to cast 2 spells again next turn, which we know they can do for sure. I do think that pressure is important, and we've been talking about how much pressure means in this game, but we can produce a lot of flyers, potentially. Clarion Spirit plus Giant Killer could go Clarion Spirit, Giant Killer, spit out 2 1/1 flying tokens, and try to go wide in the air that way. It's a really tough call to see what exactly what the exact best play here is. I think we're going to go with the Maul. And I think we're going to put it on the bigger Usher of the Fallen or the smaller Usher of the Fallen? Bigger Usher of the Fallen. Yep, and there's the exact blocks we predicted. Just debating on if I want to use the Selfless Savior. In which case they can attack me back for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Not lethal. Okay. So we'll see what they can do. Their best bet here, I think, is to distribute the 1/1 counters in a wide fashion to try to kill me that way. Everything but Giant Killer, saving 2 mana to tap something down, and then attack with all. But they attack with all, that kind of is declaring they have to win this turn. I think the way the game sits, unless they have more Sentinels or more Clarion Spirits, whoever, I think this turn cycle is probably going to be the game. I don't think it goes past this turn cycle. They have plenty of looks with all the Edgewell Innkeepers. And definitely putting on display how good the Edgewell Innkeeper is, for sure. Okay. So now they have enough blockers for the sky. That's all they cast, huh? Okay, so let's think about this. The attack back is just 2 flyers. Now, if we draw Skyclave Apparition, Maul of the Skyclaves, Giant Killer, there's a lot of potential here. I think we can ditch Clarion Spirit. I don't think it's going to do a lot for us. That may not be correct. I didn't realize that has trample. That was dumb. It's okay. Our first punt, I think. True punt. We should have just taken 1 more point. Faceless Haven. Not a great draw, I will admit. Now I think we're in a relatively losing position. Because we don't have a second spell. So definitely the punt there probably cost me the game, I'd say. It's just not taking that 1 more point of damage. Though it's hard to say for sure, but with this turn we would have been Clarion Spirit into Giant Killer plus a Faceless Haven. Right now we have enough to activate a Faceless Haven. I don't know if that matters here. Giant Killer gets to tap something. Oh, they're going to stomp. Yeah, that's fine. My opponent's been drawing 1,000,000 cards, so we're just assuming they have it, right? Like, that's the assumptions. They have it, for sure. Right now we're playing to our outs. Our outs are, I mean, we'll see what their Clarion Spirit's now a Gem Raiser, so they still get the Clarion Spirit ability. So we'll see Toski. So they're interested in drawing cards. No surprise. Well, kind of a surprise. They should, at this point, they should have everything they need. But 1/1 Indestructible does block nicely. I think that's a relatively easy block to make. 4. This is 9 coming in. That is lethal. That's worth noting. We just chump block here. It's just a 5/5. Yeah, those are my blocks, I think. They get to draw a single card from Toski. Toski, however you say it. The Squirrel Legend. Which is pretty cool. I don't know the story. I don't follow the story super close. I haven't read the story for Call Time, but if anything's going to get me to do it, it's a legendary squirrel who's bearing secrets. So, good on you, Wizards, because I kind of want to find out the deal. Really in the tank over this block here. You got your card. Thinking what we can draw here. Giant Killer. Apparition. I'm thinking Apparition's our best draw. Takes out the Sentinel. Giant Killer taps a flyer. We get in with our flyers for lethal. I think that's our path to victory. Yeah, I think that's got it. I think our path to victory is legit the Apparition. Not that. That's for sure. There's not much we can do here. We can play this. We can animate a Faceless Haven. Don't think we're in it here. We'll see what opponents got. They clearly have something because they keep getting priority. There could be an effect on board like the Giant Killer. It's just going to tap. Yeah, we'll go ahead and scoop them up for the sake of keeping the video short-ish. I mean, the shortest video I can make is over half an hour. How sad is that? But there's 3 games for you with the white deck. I just wanted to kind of give everybody an idea of what I'm playing. So if you're looking to jam something on mobile, I definitely think this is a good option. It's very simple it's simple in its execution. There's some complex things you need to be able to do on mobile. Looking at cards and things is a little tricky if you're not super familiar with the standard metagame like I am not. But I'm getting more into it now playing. But it's really gives you some ideas of what the mobile experience was like, in addition to kind of giving you something competitive to play with. So if this is a list you're looking to play, give it a try. If you're looking at what's on my sideboard, so you're a best of 3 kind of person, I have an additional Selfless Savior. I have the Magistrate, in case they're up to shenanigans. Glass Casket for similar tiny creatures. Boss Ray if we need to be more aggressive, and same with Glorious Anthem. And then we have Rydane, which obviously is pretty damn good in the mirror. And any kind of snow-related deck. Red decks tend to play snow, things like that. So that's kind of what I'm playing on Arena, especially on the mobile client. I still don't play a ton of Standard on the desktop. I still mostly play my Limited on the desktop. But let me know in the comments what you're playing. Let me know what you want to see. Again, we're happy to make videos that interest you. So keep an eye out for more cool stuff. And thanks for watching and sticking with me to the end of the video. And until next time, of course, you got to cast more spells.